Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Handegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Modesto, Burbank at Nicholson. Just a very, very short little walk over to Tiger Stadium. Remember that on Saturday. If you're heading out here, welcome to the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Handegriff along with Jimmy Ott. Jordan Kinch is back in the studio. It is a fabulous, and I do mean fabulous weather day. We're out here on the outside patio area. Jimmy, nice.
What the month is it, Charlie?
But it's October.
It's October.
It's October.
It's patio weather, baby.
This is patio weather at its finest. And we got a lot of seating out here. So if you want to come by for lunch and enjoy the weather and some great food, come by and see us here at Modesto.
A day like today, they'll gobble them up quick. Get on over here early.
So, yeah, hustle.
Already seating people here on the patio.
On the hustle here at Modesto.
It'll be popping, man. This area, here's Modesto. Next door to us is Walk-Ons, and man, they got, it's going to be a festive Saturday for Ole Miss, huh?
Lots of game day specials here at Modesto. Yeah, this is one of those ones where all of the factors we talk about all the time. Weather, opponent, game time, the whole. All of the factors are here. And then we get the extras. We touched on this a little bit yesterday. It's the 100-year anniversary of Tiger Stadium. We get special guest captains, which they always have guest captains, but special events around that will make it cool, especially if you're bringing your kids out to maybe see some of the the historical stuff that they're going to highlight in this 100-year Tiger Stadium. So, yeah, it's the perfect convergence of all of the factors that make that place, one of the most special places to watch an athletic event. So come on over this weekend. But come on over to Modesto.
That's how
get some food first.
Weather, big-time opponent,
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you check the boxes, and then away we go. So you got everything. It's going to be fun. A little bit earlier. I mean, you remember Ole Miss, LSU used to always be on, around Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously with the 59 game with the cannon run, the whole deal. Man, the Runts, they followed up a kind of an embarrassing. Not saying bad. What would you label that? That was just, just. I mean, they were so undisciplined with the third down penalties on defense, and I'm still trying to get that. I think the strength of their team is their defense.
It is statistically, anyway. It is. I mean, they're.
Well, that's
second in the nation.
I'm glad you check because just what I'm watching. I mean, I think they're a little stronger on defense than they are. And I mean, I can't pay attention to the nonsense they had. So,
in total. Now let me do this with scoring defense first. Their scoring defense is third in the nation. Now we didn't make a big deal out of that stat because a lot of those numbers are compiled in the trash part of the schedule.
They had a trash non-conference schedule. Yes.
But if you're looking at that number, total defense is 11th in the nation, and again it's against that schedule. But total offense, they're second in the nation. And, again, that's against the trash part of the schedule. Yards per play is a little over 8 at 8.1. Again, that's for the whole schedule.
No, what do they rank?
2.
2 in yards per play?
Yeah.
And yards per play defense, what are they?
Yards per play defense, they are 3.79, which is third in the nation behind Ohio State and Texas.
Yeah. Okay. Conference play?
Conference play in Southeastern Conference play, they are
in the conference. Yeah, because
they are allowing just a hair under what Texas is over what Texas.
Tell me where it ranks, Charlie.
2.
Okay.
2.
Okay.
Behind Texas. And
in conference play, and look who Texas has played.
In 5 games, yeah.
They play Mississippi State and
Michigan.
No, that's not conference.
Okay, then
Michigan's in the Big Ten, Charlie.
I'm aware.
You understand what I'm doing? I mean, we got to throw away these trash games.
Well, that's why I'm telling you. There's not a lot. There's 2 games to go on: the Kentucky game and the South Carolina game.
You put more emphasis on those 2 games or the 6?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's why the total defense number hasn't gotten a lot of play until now, because it's against Wake Forest and the 2 other crap teams that they played. Yeah,
or 2 other
whatever it is. That is. Those numbers are as good as you can do, even if you're playing nobody. I mean, if you're allowing less than 4 yards a play, that's
who has Texas played beside Mississippi State in conference?
I don't think anybody.
Yeah, that's
they've only played.
You've seen Tennessee's
the one conference game.
Tennessee's defensive front is majorly improved, but I saw Arkansas move the ball consistently on them. I saw Arkansas blow some chances. Arkansas was outgaining them by 200 yards and down at half, Or at one point in the second quarter, they were up 200 yards. But this still gives them a chance. I watched Georgia and Alabama. Now, they have high-powered offenses, but Georgia's defense is not what it was. I mean, they had angles. Listen, and Milroe and Williams are great, but, man, they're not pulling away from some of those Georgia teams in the past. This one they were. And, Alabama certainly isn't one of the top defensive fronts. Kentucky is arguably up there. They sure do. After the first drive, they held Ole Miss in check. And South Carolina, that was more with their defense. But, Ole Miss might have the best defensive front in the league. I was blown away with them on Saturday. I mean, South Carolina could have. Now, how much? You watched the game with me. Mm-hmm. How much was Sellers was off, or was Ole Miss defensive front just owning
They were
him?
putting some pressure on him, and he was off. He'd missed 2.5 games, but they put some pressure on him, and they were behind the whole game, which just exacerbated that pressure. South Carolina was down, I want to say, 17 at the half, and they were playing catch up the whole second half, which made it easier, I thought, to put more pressure on him in the second half. Rocket Sanders had 8 carries in the game, so they were never able to establish.
I'll give you that
balance.
In the second half. In the first half, it was the score should have been worse than it was. It was 24-3 at half, but there was a little time. They did jump on a 14-zip. Okay, yeah, 14-0 in the first half. Here's my thing. That 27-3, it was way worse than that. I mean, the guy fumbles the ball into the end zone. They got to do that.
They were out of it from jump, and we watched that game because we thought South Carolina +9 was a nice play at home. It's coming off the bye and
healthy and coming off the bye.
Yeah. And it got away from them immediately. Ole Miss came up. You asked what's the word for the Kentucky loss? I wouldn't call it embarrassing. I would call it unfocused, because we've harped on this so many times. Kentucky kept drives going. Why? Because Ole Miss made mistakes, especially in that first half, and it was just a huge component of that game.
It allowed them to, how many rushing attempts they had in that game, to just keep pounding short.
That's right.
Game.
And they
weren't 46 rushing.
Well, and they averaged 3 yards a carry or something like that.
Well, it was nothing, but it was just those extra possessions.
Yes.
I mean, you just can't do that.
It kept the ball.
3 of them in one half alone. This is a miss. I talk about those misleading box scores in blowouts. Ole Miss, South Carolina was one of them. 425 to 313, 112 yards. It felt like 512 yards. More of offense than Ole Miss over South Carolina.
The other big story from this game that we're monitoring all week, and it'll probably be one of those things we're going to talk about it right up to game time. Nobody's going to be sure, no matter what the truth is that senior receiver Trey Harris didn't play in the second half of the game against South Carolina. They didn't need him. He's the nation's leading receiver in yards per game. He's the nation's leading receiver in total yards. He's the nation's leading receiver in what else? He's number 2 in the nation in total catches. I mean, 52 catches in 6 games for 885 yards, and he's averaging 17 yards of reception. These are monster numbers. He's got a lower leg injury. Lane Kiffin said, hey, look, he wouldn't have been able to play day before yesterday. What he looks like on Saturday, this is a gigantic portion of this game because the drop-off is significant. He averages almost 9 catches a game. The next best guy averages 3. Remember when Josh Reed caught, his Biletnikoff year, he caught, 100 and whatever balls it was. And the next guy, which I think was Jarrell Myers, was a nice receiver, it was half of that. And I'm doing this out of my head, so if I got the numbers wrong, you get the idea. This guy's an alpha dog. He's a number 1 receiver. He is a massive, massive threat. If he is out of this game or limited in this game, it's a huge, huge deal because I remain most concerned about LSU's propensity to give up big plays, which they've done for a lot of the season, and Ole Miss's ability to make them. So Trey Harris, his availability, huge, just absolutely huge.
Yeah, and look, the 2 conference games after the cream puff, a 4-game schedule. They're done with their non-conference. They got them out the way. That was their first 4 games. They don't have one later in the year. Yeah. Kentucky, we talked about Kentucky's front, Kentucky's defense. 11 for 176 in a TD. 11 for 176 in one half Saturday against South Carolina, 3 for 81. So he would have had, just extrapolate that. I mean, he would have had 160. In SEC play, and those are good defenses. South Carolina's edge on rush, Kentucky overall defensively. No, those are good defenses.
Kentucky gave up 13 points
Those
to
are
Georgia.
Both better defenses than LSU.
Yeah, absolutely.
So his injury, smart move. Games out, on Saturday, 24-3. I mean,
no reason.
Get him out the game, and take precautions for.
I don't know if he could have gone back in, but there was no reason to even try to put him back in.
No, they're smart.
Yeah, yes,
smart.
Yeah,
and we could see that game was done. That game was done. I was shocked they beat them so badly. I was. I mean, in a Saturday where we had a lot right. Man, I was dead wrong on that one, man. Ole Miss, this is what they want. They showed you what they're capable of. But now, because they maybe part of their schedule, maybe their lack of history, certainly lack of discipline, that's for sure. But, I mean, if they had to play Kentucky this Saturday.
I'd take them again.
In Oxford.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd take them again.
8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I mean, but you don't get that back. And now your room for error is really tough. And even 10-2 in the SEC that should get in. That non-conference schedule might hurt them.
It could. And one more thing about the Kentucky game. Not only would I take them again, with the exception of one play.
You talk about late in the points?
Yeah. With the exception of one play, I thought every other play of that game, Ole Miss was going to win, with the exception of the 4th and 7.
But not
66
cover.
No, not cover.
Yeah.
But at halftime when they were trailing, I said they'll willy-wally around and they'll win it. When they had them on 4th and 7, I said they're going to win it. When they got the ball back into Kentucky territory, I said they're going to kick a field goal, and they get to overtime, they're going to win it. And none of that happened. So, yeah, I would take them again. But they don't get to play that team again.
See, I sent my son, and I'm trying to see exactly what time, but it was about noon of 11:15 or 11:10 kickoff. I said, Rebels in a fight today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think they would lose. No, I didn't think they would lose, but they couldn't afford to screw around.
The only time I thought that they were going to lose that game was after the 4th down play, and I said, now Kentucky's got to take this clock down. They can't give Ole Miss the ball back. When they gave Ole Miss the ball back, I still thought they were going to lose.
12:30. So almost half.
Halftime.
Almost
yeah,
half.
Right about halftime.
Almost half. We're here at Modesto on Burbank, and, man, a lot of you have made this a meeting place before, during, and after LSU games. And, man, they've got the game day specials over here, which are always fun. So the $3 fireball shots and tequila drop shots, $3 domestic bottles, $4 import bottles, $4 hard seltzers, and then food specials on game day as well. The birria fries, that's the brisket fries, the game day nachos, and the Mexican popcorn. So it's always fun. And it's very popular too after a long game night at Tiger Stadium. It's Sunday brunch. We got Saturday and Sunday brunch from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. A lot of different breakfast brunch items with the French toast or the pancakes or omelets, and then we do it with a little Mexican cheese, a little avocados. You just kind of fuse traditional brunch items with a little bit of a Mexican flair over here at Modesto. Patio weather, yes indeed. Great happy hour as well over at Modesto on Burbank near Nicholson.
Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, New LouisianaSports.net, 1045ESPN.com as well. We'll drop a new Handycast tonight. We apologize. We had a scheduling change from last night. We'll drop that tonight with film study from LSU's first 5 games. Saints got bad news on Derek Carr yesterday. His oblique injury will keep him out at least for the next 2 games. The Saints, after they play Tampa on Sunday, have a Thursday night game at home against the Broncos. Sean Payton's return to the Superdome. This hits on all levels. First of all, the Saints can't afford any more injuries, much less at quarterback. So this just makes it. If you watch the very end, if you were a glutton for punishment like we were and watched all the way to the end the other night, you saw Jake Haener basically running for his life almost from the snap of the football in just that garbage time there at the end. If the offensive line injuries don't come back around, when they're going to get McCoy back, it's going to make it tough on either one of the quarterbacks, Haener or Spencer Rattler. Ian Rappaport reporting yesterday that Rattler is a strong candidate to start this game on Sunday. Short term, long term, tons of ramifications here for the Saints. Jimmy, for me, I would probably rather get a longer look at Rattler than Haener. I think he's got a little bit more upside. He's got a little bit more athletic ability. I don't think that either one of these guys will ever be a full-time starting quarterback in the league, but I'll admit I could be wrong on Rattler. He's got enough ability to do it. He's just always been – we've been watching him since his freshman year at Oklahoma. He's been really, really inconsistent, but he's got a little juice in the arm. He's got some athleticism, maybe. In the right circumstances. So I'd rather take a longer look at him than at Haener. But I suspect over the next couple of games we're going to get to see a little bit of both of them. And in long term, I think this torpedoes the Saints' chances. If you thought they were, okay before, I don't see how they can overcome all of this and they'll get to somewhere around 500. Carr may only miss a couple of games, but we've seen these oblique injuries. Usually they linger. Maybe he's a fast healer. I don't know, but I do know that the year that Drew Brees had this, he didn't miss any games, but he wasn't himself, and even he said that after the season. So
well, that's why he's out.
Big blow for the Saints, and it's just been this series of blows. Offensive line, linebackers the other night, now the quarterback. Thoughts?
Boy, a lot of Saints fans think they're celebrating. They're done with Carr. They had enough. Yeah. The whole bit. Trust me, this doesn't help. But with if Carr finishes healthy, Charlie, I mean, the offensive line isn't gonna get back to until McCoy returns, and that's 6 more games. And he's just not effective, without protection. So, from what I hear, the Saints organization, and listen, I also heard another Mickey Loomis. Did you see that media brief, that media availability?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Oh, my God. Well, he's citing Chuck Knowles start
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I did. I read it. I didn't.
Bill Walsh's start. Bill Belichick's
start. He had made that's similar in the offseason too.
Is that the same one that's just recycled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's floating around again?
All right.
Good. I'm glad it's not repeated. They like Rattler. They like Rattler more than Haener. They think that he's got a shot.
Yes.
I remind everybody when you talk about Rattler, and when you think of Rattler, because we're college football first, okay, and you think about just the focus, lead 11 guy, the focus of that, I don't know, that Netflix series and this and that, and but he doesn't have the physical size, arm strength, athleticism that is typical of a recruit that's that highly thought of. Okay, so let's keep in mind that when we think about how it just doesn't. Now, when you say he's got a lot of athleticism as compared to Carr,
yes,
okay, well, he's not going tuck it. He's not going to be a running threat in this league. He might be able to scramble and get you 6 yards, 10 yards every now and then for first down, but he is not going to scare anybody in this league with his legs. Can he buy himself a little bit more time? Who can't? Carr, he just can't. He doesn't do that well. We know that. But he's been hurt a little bit. He's got a little bit of an injury. That's why I think Haener was thrown in there in this situation. But as far as what they think Rattler has a little bit more of a shot, kind of like you, what you just said. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying there is what the organization feels. This is a tough spot to throw in, whether it's Haener or Rattler. You pick.
Sure.
Both of them are undersized for what you want out of where your typical, NFL starting quarterback. Haener he looks so small out there. Did he not?
Yes, he looks small, and the arm's
okay, but it's not.
Yeah, it's nothing special.
And Rattler's not much better. And Bowles is a defensive guy, a defensive-oriented coach that wants to bring pressure. It's not on the road, but he gonna bring it in a rookie making his first start, or second-year guy making his first start. This is an awfully difficult situation. Not that it couldn't get any worse, and so. Lalonde reflects it. It was at 2. I think the odds makers had an idea that Carr was doubtful, and then it went to 3.5 with the official news.
So the short term is
my bubbles bursted with the Saints, man. Yeah. This is why I was so. We were close to winning against Philadelphia, but this is it just paper thin, man. That roster is paper thin, and the most surprising unit, it flipped when McCoy went down that day against Philadelphia. That's a bad defense. That's not a good defense. That's not the Philadelphia defense. Look at their metrics. And they held the Saints to 210 yards that day after McCoy went down.
I think what the most frustrating thing for Saints fans, at least for me, is that if everything goes right, your ceiling is still limited. And I don't know what your long-term ceiling is with the current administration. I have no confidence in the coach. I've lost almost all of my confidence in the GM. I have a limited amount of success, confidence in the quarterback, and it's based on the factors around him. Like I said, if he gets great protection, has a running game, he's fine. But he doesn't. If I'm in Cincinnati right now, I hate where my team is right now. But I know I got a quarterback. I know I got I got something I can build around. I don't know what I got.
They're about to make some changes.
Yeah, I don't know what I got with the Saints.
Get rid of. No, well, yeah. I don't. Well, Charlie, ain't many with a Joe Burrow. With 8 more good years or so.
Well, even if I were the Bears with Caleb Williams, okay,
you don't know.
But I think I got a quarterback. I think I got something to build. I got a guy that I believe in anyway. Maybe he'll flop, but I got somebody I believe in. If I'm in Denver, I can build around Bo Nix if I feel like that's my guy.
But you don't know.
But I don't.
But Burrow, you know. We know Burrow's good.
If I'm in New England, I'm excited about seeing Drake May. Okay, maybe he'll be a
Saints
guy.
fans are excited. They're excited.
I don't know how excited. I don't know how excited I can get about Spencer Rattler.
No, you're more measured.
I just watched him play
you think the
so
Saints
much
fans are measured?
Football, man. They're gonna go watch some of this preseason stuff, and they're gonna go watch that game he had against Tennessee and go, look what he can do. And yeah, he did it in very small pockets, but I watched much bigger sample sizes where he was erratic. He was all over the place. So I hope it gives them some guidance in how to move forward, because there's just way more things about the team and the organization that I don't have confidence in than
Rattler does become your quarterback, he's pretty limited. There's a ceiling. Yeah. It's not like, the Burrows and the Williams doesn't have a ceiling. We don't know if he's going to be any good. Hey, you don't get any credit for putting up yards against Carolina's defense. They're bad and banged up. Everybody's lighting him up.
No, but okay, I know he's a talented guy, and he's in Game 5 in the NFL. I want to see.
He might.
Yeah, I want to see plenty of him. I want to see plenty of Drake.
I know, but like I said, he doesn't have that ceiling, but Rattler does. Yeah. Rattler does. I mean, if a quarterback had more measurables, he'd have been drafted higher.
God bless the optimistic Saints fans. You got to hand it to them. If you can believe here, then God bless.
Don't forget our friends at United Community Bank, the local way to bank big, with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow, including their newest at Burbank and Bluebonnet. We've been serving the people of southern Louisiana for over 50 years. Running a business can be difficult enough without the right relationship with your bank. With United Community Bank's local business bankers, you're not just a number, you're a partner. Contact Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, David Henry, Prentice Wilkes. See how we can help your business today. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Open Air Edition, live at lunch.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, let's talk to Randy McKay. Randy, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing real well here in the Colorado Rockies. Everything's nice here, and hopefully everybody's all right in the Florida area.
Yeah, man, we're worried about them. We're used to that ball game, and it is nothing nice. And so, absolutely, all of our best wishes. And I think pretty much all of us have some friends or relatives, in that area that are kind of, scattering around pretty good. So
it's been 100 years since a storm of this magnitude hit the Tampa area, which gives you some kind of indication as to how historic this thing is. It's scary.
Yeah. Hey, Randy, I texted you earlier. I already have my sort of response made up, but I'm a middle guy. I love to reduce my risk and look at reward. I have a decent play, pretty good play on the Broncos at over 5.5 wins. And my logic was, I thought in year 2 that Sean Payton, had a better team. And they won, he won 8 games last year. So, my goodness, how would, the division is not that much improved, if at all. And so their schedule, because they it looked okay. But at 3-2, boy, you got some maneuverability. I got a 2-game middle. There's 7.5s at plus money, under 7.5. Would you middle or take a percentage or not, or just let it ride on the Denver Broncos, over 5.5 plus 7.5 or under 7.5?
Yeah, and of course that's always up to the buyer whether they want to do that or not. Most of the times I just let my first bet go unless I really feel like I have a positive way to play it back. But it sounds like you've done your research and figure maybe Denver will fall, and of course that probably is a pretty good angle to do that. So I don't blame you if you do it, and you're getting plus money. So you got a game right there. You can fall right in the middle. So yeah, I don't blame you if you do that.
Well, Randy, I'm not. And I'm going to pause for 3 weeks, and this is why. They play the Chargers at home. They can beat the Chargers. They're 3-point dogs, but they can beat the Chargers. And I think that, so a kid that was very close to coming to LSU was sort of a signing day flip. And it was influenced by, somebody that Orgeron let go from his staff. But anyway, I think that's a 50-50 game. You catch New Orleans with the backup quarterback in the next game, that's favorable. I mean, you at least got a 50-50 shot. And then at home against Carolina, this is a really soft part of the schedule. I think at the end of this 3-game run, they can go 2-1, and you might even get I might even get more of a middle at that point before they go to Baltimore and Kansas City and Atlanta and the rest. So they also play Cleveland at home. They get another game with the Raiders. This is not a tough schedule that I'm looking at the rest of the way. So I'm going to pause for a little bit.
And you're right about all this schedule stuff. What I'm curious about Randy's opinion is, how good do you think Bo Nix is? How would you rate his progress after 5 games?
Well, he's not really having to do much as far as their offense goes. They're playing a run style led on their, the Raiders had a chance to blow that game out there, and Minshew threw that bad pick 6, and that's kind of the way they're winning games. Same way against the Jets, they just held their offense in check and kicked a couple field goals and won that game late. So they're playing smart football, which Sean Payton teams usually do. So that's the way they're winning so far. Nothing really. Nix, when he's been called upon, has made a few throws there. Cortland Sutton's kind of been the beneficiary of some of them throws. So when he's been called upon, he's done that. And in the scrambling ability, he's made him some plays. But if you get him down, I don't see it this year as far as him coming back if he gets down by 2 scores or more in the third or fourth quarter coming back.
Well, unless Surtain goes down, I mean, we've looked at it, we've discussed it before. He is really shutting down the opposing number 1 target. I mean, it's a passing league, and I mean, what is it, like 24 yards? I mean, some good ones too, along the way. So, I mean, a Metcalf, a Pickens,
Garrett Wilson.
Wilson from the Jets. I mean, was Adams play? Adams didn't play last week, right? So, but there was another game. Future Hall of Famer Mike Evans. I mean, shut him down as well. So unless he gets hurt, and think about this, you can't get much less from Nix, huh? What if he does develop a little bit? So I think that the tough part for them to get 3-2 at this for this part of the schedule, I think is. I'm in a pretty good spot right now. I just can't see them losing all 3 of these. And even if they come out of this and they're 4-4 and lose 2 of 3, you'll still have a decent middle opportunity there. Randy, who are you looking at in the NFL this weekend? Give us your 3 best bets.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit against the team I've been backing the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to take Jacksonville Jaguars at their home away from home there. More familiarity playing in London. This Bears team comes in fat and happy after a couple wins, so I see some value in the dog here. Might even go a little higher. I have done teasers already up to 8.5 with paired with a couple other places, but going to wait and see and then play the Jacksonville Jaguars here just because of familiarity with London and got kind of the monkey off their back last week with a scary win at the end. They let Colts come back. Of course, Colts are probably a better team with Flacco in there. So, but they held on, got their first victory. So I like the Jacksonville Jaguars there in the early game in London.
They're 6-5 in their trip, but they do know the routine more than anybody. But 6-5 straight up and catching 2, and I like that too because. Look, this Carolina defense is horrendous. How did that – I mean, how does the Bears offense, which did nothing, just go up and down the field against them? That's how bad Carolina's defense is right now. So I think the Bears have been overvalued all year, and they got that 1 win against – but still the Andy Dalton love, and, well, Andy Dalton is Andy Dalton, right? He's going to do it for about 3 to 5 games, and it's going to calm down again. Who else you got this week, Randy?
Well, I did have the Chargers -2 on the opener against your aforementioned Broncos, getting guys back, but I can't really give that out now at a -3. So we'll go to an ugly dog here, a team that cost me a little bit last week and teasers and everything else. Go to the Las Vegas Raiders, getting 3 at home. against a offensively challenged Pittsburgh team. I see the Raiders here bouncing back. This could be one of those 6-3 games, much like the game against the Vikings last year. I could see this situation being that way. I could see the Raiders bouncing back here against a Steeler team that, played a good game or not a real great game on a Sunday night, but it was a close against the Cowboys and just couldn't pull it off in the end. But I see the Raiders pulling this one off.
Close game, came down to one play, but my goodness, you get, Dallas commits 3 turnovers and has a field goal attempt blocked. At home, you got to win that game. But that's Charlie. Fields being that guy, he gets about you 4 or 5 games to kind of hold the rope a little bit, but then it's they're probably going to make a move with Wilson. Now this thing is kind of flattened out with him. Well, they're winning with with defense and not asking him to do a whole lot.
And on the other side, the Raiders, are they committed to going with O'Connell to start
is that what
week?
They're doing?
They've sort of been kind of vague about their plans. What do you think, Randy?
I'm not really worried either way. I'm fine with, O'Connell got enough playing time last year, and between him and Minshew, I consider them pretty equal. So
yeah, they're almost the same guy at this point.
Really worried who's under center there. So I just see a big effort out of the home team here, and that's what they've done under Pierce when they've had a stinker game. They've kind of come back, and hopefully they do that in this opportunity.
It'll be a little feisty in the stands. The Steelers are going to bring a lot of people to Las Vegas, and then the Raiders fans, some of them old ones still from the Bay Area and even Los Angeles, and it's going to be just a lot of memories that come back when those two teams, and God bless them. They keep their uniforms. It just a lot of memories, man, to those days back in the Chuck Noll and John Madden era, to say the least. Hey, you said that Chargers are getting some key guys back. Who exactly are they getting back?
Well, it looks like they get either Alt or Slater back on the offensive line. So that's big for the running game to start with. And Bosa is also questionable. So if they get him and Mack both on the end, there could be a long day for Bo Nix. So I like the Chargers here to have more power up front on the both offense and defensive lines. So I like them a little bit against Denver. Denver's missed a couple offensive linemen from earlier, so like them to dominate the offense and defensive line in that spot.
There you go. And your final pick this week in the NFL.
Well, we're going to go probably the big matchup of the week, Detroit Lions at Dallas here, and I'm going to take the 3.5 here with the Cowboys at home, even though Detroit's coming off a bye, probably getting a little bit more healthy, but this number getting over the 3.5, of course, don't know yet about Parsons. That's the main thing I'm kind of waiting for. If he's definitely in the lineup, definitely like taking 3.5. And last year these two teams played kind of a squirrely game there where the refs kind of took over there, and the guy reported there for the 2-point conversion to tie it up or to take the lead, and Campbell then went off the rocker and lost the game there by not kicking the extra point. So I see this being that kind of game again, helter-skelter and score for score. So I like taking the dog in this situation.
Hey, Randy, this league, a lot of recency bias would like to fade because it's just, it's the psychology of it, the inflation of the numbers and, odds makers anticipating public action on what they saw last. But, one team and one player that's bucking that trend right now is Washington and Jaden Daniels. He made a big jump up. Charlie, what is he right now is he
10
single digit, about 10 to 1?
10 to 1.
Right around 10 to 1. We got as much as 30 to 1 in the second quarter down at the BetMGM property at the Beau Rivage. And what do you make of this, man? You think it's sustainable? They're getting 6.5 points again. That's a big number in the NFL this year. Boy, dogs of 6 or more are killing it this year, straight up and against the spread.
Yeah, and the Ravens' defense hasn't really looked that great this year either. They've given up leads, they've given up a lot of scoring. They should have lost that game against the Bengals last week. So we'll see. This is a step up in class. Even like last week, I said, well, this might be a step up in class against the Browns, but the Browns are off my betting list till they benched Deshaun Watson, so that's out of the picture. But this is the big step up in class. If they can do it this week against this Baltimore team, I think they can sustain it. This is a wait and see for me as far as the Commanders go. But if that game gets up to over 7.5, I'm definitely coming on the Commanders there because, we've seen this. He's just played really well, and this offense is really quick. And so, getting that much as a dog is a very good spot, I think.
Real quick, too, is Kirk Cousins getting kind of used to his supporting cast and his new team, with that big Thursday night game, and now they play the real weak defensive. I don't play player props and things like this, but, man, how do they not, light up the Carolina defense?
Yeah, he's looking a little bit more better with the offense, and, of course, got a little extra rest here and against a, wounded Carolina team. And as far as their injury report, doesn't look any better as far as their defense. Looks like a lot of guys still out and questionable. So, this could be another ugly game. Tough to go again. Tough to take a road favorite, that high. But, that's the only way I think I could go there. Two teams are kind of off my betting list are Cleveland and Carolina, and that is one of them. So, no play for me yet in that game.
Randy, thank you, buddy. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, good luck, everybody out there, and have a good weekend.
All right, our friends at Legacy Title, Chad Reynolds, the Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060, full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Our great staff at Legacy Title, Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, buying, building, refinancing, nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live from Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
Pierre Port Store and the Thibodeau Store, your home improvement needs. If you're working with a contractor, have them work with the Pierre Port Store, the Thibodeau Store, to have all the supplies you need delivered. Go to ThibodeauStore.com to arrange for delivery of lumber, concrete, paint, all the things that they would need. They can work right through the website. If you're doing it yourself, ask one of the experts at these stores. If you don't know what you're doing, you're trying to follow a YouTube video or something like that, look to the experts. This is what distinguishes them from the big box stores. They're going to help you through. They're going to make sure you're not spending any money you don't need and make sure you're not wasting any time. So, again, plumbing needs, electrical needs, lumber, power tools, hand tools. And at the Thibodeau Store, a wide selection of barbecue pits, big green egg cookers are available there. The unique cypress furniture, the crawfish pots, the jambalaya pots, and if you're going down to the coast fishing, a ton of fishing supplies at the Thibodeau Store. It's at 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau. And online, it's ThibodeauStore.com.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jaden Daniels' love just continues. A lot of the platforms this morning talking about a win against the Ravens would put him at or near the top of the MVP list. And, Jimmy, after you get let's say Washington pulls the upset. It's not a huge upset, but it'd be an upset. There. After that, Panthers, Bears, at the Giants. The schedule is really, really manageable. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with him, but this Ravens game is the biggest game they'll play for the next month. If he shows out on Sunday, I think what they're saying this morning is he's going to have a chance to really build on that with some games where they're at home and they're favored, and his MVP candidacy is going to explode with a win.
What's happening is they're one of the weaker teams statistically. They didn't know there were so many new pieces. They didn't know how the offensive line worked. They didn't know how the rookie quarterback would look, and he's Stroud with wheels. That's how he's playing right now, and that was a good defense. That Cleveland defense is better than Baltimore, and certainly the ones he's about to test. So that's the one. And Randy said that. So I want to see him against one of the more respected defenses. We saw it, and he looked great. Had the bad, I think it was second down in the red zone, the bad interception. Okay, where he tried to force it, and it was a great play by the linebacker. But it's a bad throw, but. Charlie, I don't see I don't see where he's. I don't see there's no end in sight as far as, and what he's doing is he's putting so much pressure on opposing offenses because they got to match scores that it's helping their defense as well. He's helping the whole team. It's unreal, man.
Raiders went to Baltimore and won. I know it was early in the season. Washington's got a great shot on Sunday. Hour number 2 coming straight ahead at Modesto, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Going to be a great weekend here on campus for LSU and Ole Miss. Game day specials here at Modesto. A real easy walk over to Tiger Stadium. Fireball shots, tequila drop shots, $3 domestic bottles, $4 import bottles, $4 hard seltzers, the birria fries.
It's brisket, brother.
Brisket, yeah. With you got your jalapenos and.
I can't roll those R's. It just doesn't work. Birria.
There you Game day nachos. The Mexican popcorn is on special here as well at Modesto.
Maybe our international traveler, Jet Set Rabelais, can give us the proper.
Well, if it was in Italian, maybe or French, I think he would have it. Rav, how you doing?
Très bien, merci. Et toi?
I don't know how they pronounce it in Oxford, but this is a big monster matchup for these two teams. Both in the top 10. That hadn't happened since the 60s. LSU in the top 10, the coaches poll. So, give me your thoughts on the matchup. Monster game for both of these coaches, both of these teams.
Yeah, LSU might be in the top 10 in the AP poll. That guy who covers Notre Dame had left him out completely. He's gotten a little flack this week. But, look, this is, first of all, for the 100th anniversary of Tiger Stadium, this is as classic as it gets, right? Ole Miss at night. It should be a full house. The weather's going to be perfect. There's no reason for people not to come out. If you don't want to use your tickets Saturday, I don't know what you want, because this is what you, as players like Greg Penn and Garrett Nussmeier said yesterday, this is why, and Brian Kelly said, this is why you come to LSU. This is why you want to be part of LSU football. I think it'll be an interesting game, a close game. I don't think it's going to be quite the shootout it was last year. I don't think 100 points are going to be scored in this game and 1,300 yards of offense. But I think it's going to be, both teams are going to have to score something to win. Obviously, Ole Miss's defense is probably, flown a little under the radar, as you would expect, considering how flashy and how much credit Lane Kiffin and his offense get with Jackson Dart and guys like Trey Harris. But it's going to be very interesting. I'm eagerly anticipating that availability report from Ole Miss to see what's Trey Harris's status is for Saturday at this point, and some of the other players. It was a pretty long list last week. So I certainly think after the USC loss and some of LSU's earlier let's say poor performances against Nichols and first half of the South Carolina game, this looked like a very, I'd say impossible game, but one of those, very unlikely for LSU to win. And since the Kentucky game, and I know Ole Miss played well at South Carolina last week, pretty well. But this is definitely a game that LSU, once again, it appears that they can win if they come out and play well and execute. But they're going to have to come up with some stops on defense. They're going to have to give the offense a chance to put some points up on the board and get some drives going, and not just not be playing catch up all game. So it's a fascinating matchup, and you can't be more. I wish they were playing this tonight. I'm ready for them to play.
I mean, really. Just on paper, both offenses are good, right? We all agree on that, right?
Yeah. I
don't think there's any comparison to the two defenses. Ole Miss appears to be way better defensively than LSU.
By a lot. I had somebody ask me, why is LSU an underdog in this game at home? I said, if you pull yourself out of Baton Rouge and look at LSU from 50,000 feet, you got a loss to USC that looks way worse than it did when they actually had the loss, because USC has lost 2 games since then and don't look good at all. They eked out a win in South Carolina, against a team that Ole Miss just thumped. and your other 3 wins are against nobody. So why would anybody outside of this market go, wow, LSU really good? It's not that they don't have the potential, but that's the view from 50,000 feet of LSU right now. Go beat Ole Miss, and that changes. But for now, that's what it is.
I would agree.
Sure, and that's fair. That's fair. I think, and Jimmy's right. I mean, Ole Miss is ranked 3rd in the country in points allowed, right? Just over a touchdown a game. But this is, how much of defense is emotion and momentum and a little swagger and confidence. If LSU can get that, and then they can give the crowd a reason to be fired up, and maybe it can be something they can build for LSU. They're gonna have to get some stops early in the game. They're gonna have to have a drive, for on offense or on defense that goes their way. Please, for LSU's perspective, Garrett Nussmeier, don't just throw one up there to get intercepted like Derek Carr did on the Saints' first drive when they were showing some promise. You don't want to have something like that happen. But defense is a lot of that, and on paper, Ole Miss clear advantage, but the home stadium, the home crowd, Ole Miss's 7th straight game, second straight SEC road game. They're more beaten and battered than LSU is, having had the week off. So all those intangibles types of intangibles are hard to define things. Let's say, kind of favor LSU, but just on the straight, the straight measurables, yes, Ole Miss deserves to be favored.
And how much is Ole Miss beats up on Cream Puff Central. They come in undisciplined and not respecting their opponent against Kentucky. The next thing you know, they're in the game and they lose, and then they all of a sudden they're not as big of men on campus, and man, they go to South Carolina and take care of business. That was way worse than that final score was that indicated. Now, do they exhale again? Do the program never got to Atlanta? The program's never been there. The program that has brought up favorite teams into Night and Tiger Stadium and gotten tripped up over and over. Does it? I think it's more the mental part of Ole Miss, the psychological part of Ole Miss. Do they come in here with a business-like attitude, or do they think they're too damn good again and do some undisciplined things and third down penalties after stops and, it's some of that shenanigans, what they did against Kentucky?
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss will have to, I guess we would say, help LSU in that regard. Maybe, be the team that, look, the pressure, who's the most pressure on? You would say, Ole Miss. They came into the season, hey, this is your year. Everybody's like, this is your year, Ole Miss. If you're going to do it, you got all these guys coming back, and you brought in all these transfers and spent all this money in the NIL world and stuff like that. This is your year to do it, to finally break through, to finally be the team that makes the SEC championship game, or to make the expanded college football playoff. It's a disappointment if you don't. To maybe win that first SEC championship since 1963. Maybe the Ole Miss will have a chance to put up a real, meaningful banner in their stadium instead of 2003 SEC West champions when, yes, they shared the division title with LSU, but they didn't even make it to the championship game, and they lost to the team that did. Oh, and that also won the national championship that year. The BCS national championship. So all that's resting on Ole Miss's shoulder pads. LSU can maybe play a little at home house money kind of situation. So I think the intangibles favor LSU. And it's going to have to play; those things are going to have to play to LSU's favor if they're going to win what looks like a very close game.
Can the runs handle the pressure? And I agree with that. If not now, then when for Ole Miss? Transitional year, Bama, some other things. LSU's roster is not where it needs to be. We think with their staff gear for recruiting and what they have coming with this class, it's going to improve. And some others. So.
Well, it is just their luck that with all that going on, the conference decided to import the number 1 team in the country currently in Texas, which is
Texas hadn't done anything yet.
No, but they're good.
They're good, but Michigan. Well, with 32 yards passing,
But we think they're good. We
I think they're good, but they're
really good.
Certainly unproven.
No,
the league handed them. Here's your ticket to the playoff.
They do not have a big run on that schedule. Scott, you talked about Ole Miss's injury report. I was encouraged Monday by LSU's injury report that Caden Durham is back out on the practice field. I know that Garrett Nussmeier holds the keys to everything for LSU, but could this be a game where Caden Durham introduces himself to the rest of the world? We're talking about somebody who's averaged over 8 yards a carry, over 21.5 yards a catch. When he touches the ball, he's electric. And you want to keep the ball. I get all the defensive stats for Ole Miss, but you want to keep the ball away from that offense if you can. Is Caden Durham ready to break out?
Well, this would be the time for it, right? He's run the ball very effectively, as you said. He's showed good patience and shiftiness. Running the ball through an offensive line that has not always opened holes as much for the run as much as we thought they would going into the season, and then just catching the ball. I'm just thinking of that pass. It was South Alabama, last week, but he caught that pass out of the swinging out of the backfield. And then just ran past everybody to score a touchdown. Obviously, Ole Miss will be harder to run past than the The Rebels will be harder to run past than the Jaguars. But nonetheless, he had the foot injury. We take Brian Kelly at his word. Again, we have to see LSU's availability report that they're required to give since it's an SEC game, what it is this week. But he said he's practicing, and then Zy Alexander's practicing, and C.J. Daniels is practicing. So. That was encouraging for LSU, as you would expect from with a week off. Again, we talked to Greg Penn yesterday, the player interviews, and he said the batteries recharged. It seemed like it was LSU's. They always have the open date before Alabama, but it's a 2 open date season this year, and it seemed like it came at a very good time for LSU going into their two. What are their two biggest challenges of the season in Ole Miss and Alabama? So. I think LSU again an intangible. I think LSU is positioned better, but directly to your point on Durham. Yeah, he needs to be big. He needs to play big in this game. If not him, then we finally see Caleb Jackson doing something. That I don't think you can expect it. It's like expecting Chris Hilton to come out and catch for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. We'll believe it when we see it, right?
We have a moratorium on mentioning players that haven't played through the first month and a half of this season, so we'll mention them when they get there.
Right, exactly. I would expect it to. I would expect the same thing. He's kind of become LSU's unicorn, right?
I'd love for him to play, but until he does, we can't speculate about that anymore.
But Durham needs to be big. Brian Kelly has talked so much, and it's permeated to what the players are saying about complementary football. We heard it from Penn and Nussmeier and Mason Taylor yesterday at player interviews. And complementary, it means the defense has to complement the offense, but conversely, on offense, the running game has to complement the defense. And Garrett said he feels like teams are starting to back out of loading up in the box against them a little bit. So if the running opportunities are there against a very good front seven, you have to try to take advantage, and he seems like the best guy equipped to help you take advantage of that. But of course, they could check down into some short passes, which they seem to like to do. And as someone asked in our mailbag, will LSU finally throw a screen pass? Maybe this would be a good time for that. A screen pass to Caden Durham might be.
He's a game changer, and if we're accurate here that both of these offenses are good, but Ole Miss's defense is way better than LSU's, then you're going to need somebody to make a play. If you don't think you can just hammer it away and control, they're going to need somebody to make a big play. And this guy is the most likely candidate for LSU among their skill position people to make a big play. That's why I'm kind of bullish on him this week. So we'll see. Scott, we always appreciate your insight as LSU Ole Miss games go. This will be one of the highlights, so we're looking forward to Saturday. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen, especially for a big game week. You guys have a great rest of your show. Look forward to listening.
All right, thanks a lot.
And let's not look. It's college football, and that place is going to be popping. It's going to be a tough place for Ole Miss to play.
Sure.
I mean, so. That's
how much differently would you feel about this game if LSU wasn't coming off a bye week and the game was in Oxford? LSU should be a double-digit underdog.
Well,
these factors are huge.
You usually flip it, and we talked about it at night. Great weather. It's gonna be great. Charlie, I told you over the summer in Vegas and Del Mar trips. I mean, more people that I talked to, some friends, around the country, were more interested in coming to this game than they were LSU Alabama.
Yeah.
And when's the last time that's been the case? So
Johnny Vaught. Johnny Voss, the answer to a lot of our questions.
And so I go back to the connecting flight. We were on the little airport kind of sky bars or whatever it is, whatever the United bar or whatever. And we're in there, and I just happened to sit next to a young Ole Miss alum. And he said, boy, y'all are good this year. I said, man, y'all are really, finally got a way better up front. And, just have to outscore people 45-42, in a real game. And I said, yeah, but, we're just always looking over our shoulder. Yeah. Mincy, way back in the summer, says, we're not going to win in Baton Rouge. We're not going to win in Tiger Stadium. They're just waiting for – and they have brought – when they have brought teams in, I'd say the last 15, 20 years, that Landshark team they beat, the team that I think that Fournette and them beat. I mean, when they have come in here with a chance, this is one where they get, it kind of – it ends that little run. But they don't play Bama. And that's the biggest thing. Right out the chute, boom. I mean, you don't play Bama. And I know Hugh Freeze beat them twice, okay? But, I mean, still, that's a bit, they've owned them for so many years. And so the schedule makers, and to me, Bama's playing South Carolina and Missouri this year. I mean, play Ole Miss. There's forgiveness in a 12-team playoff,
It's very hard for me to wrap my head around. I even said it on one of the shows. Like, they got to play Alabama. No, they don't. LSU doesn't play Auburn. There's so many of those traditional things that you're mentally, programmed. Well, yeah, that's going to happen in October and November. No, all of those games aren't on the schedule. Different games are on the schedule.
Don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance. Total Maintenance, one of South Louisiana's oldest AC and heating companies since 1980. That's right, our team for over 50 years, 30 working together for a decade or more. Elite service, that AC and heating that you can use. And, great Jimmy Yacht special, one-time heater or air conditioner visit for just $79. It's normally $179. So if you call 480-1000, make sure you tell them. Heard of Jimmy Yacht, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Normally $179. It's just $79. Mention Jimmy Yacht, half off diagnostics, including after hours, holidays, and weekends. We also have membership programs that cover all of the services that we offer with discounts and extended warranties. We are Total Maintenance, Baton Rouge, 480-1000, 480-1000.
Live at Modesto, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Sin.
All right, let's go to Las Vegas. Talk to our buddy Wes Reynolds, the Fighting Signettis, baby, at it again, win and cover again. Wes, how you doing?
Yeah, man, Jimmy, we're not used to it with Indiana being bowl eligible the first weekend of October. The first team, by the way, to get bowl eligible. Just a little side note there. But 5 weeks this week, tickets are going fast in Bloomington, expecting a sellout at Memorial Stadium for homecoming. Unfortunately, it's the early kickoff with the Fox Big Noon kickoff, so TV determines all that. So unfortunately, a 12 noon kickoff for Nebraska next week. But look, man, keep it rolling.
Wes, where do you think Indiana would be in the first college football playoff ranking? Because those rankings will be different. They're weighted with the schedule. Indiana's schedule has not been that tough, but they can't do any much more against the schedule that they have. What do you think they would be right now? And does 10-2? Can they go 10-2? If they can, they're going to be in the conversation whether or not to get into the playoff. And keep in mind, it's a top 11. It's not a top 12 with the group of 5 team.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, they probably would be right at 12 or maybe just outside. I would think because of that schedule, but beat Nebraska all of a sudden, then you're probably right in there, because that's going to be a quality win. So yeah, look, they got to take somebody, and how many are going to get in out of the top 2 conferences, and we don't know that. If we assume 4 out of the SEC and 3 to 4 out of the Big Ten, how many are the ACC going to get? How many are the Big 12 going to get? So we don't know that as of yet.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And we talked about it's not a. It should for most teams in the SEC and in the Big Ten. 10-2 is in. But because, like Rutgers, their schedule, they don't play the Big Four in the Big Ten. Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, or Ohio State. They don't play any of them. So they would have a tough time. But, we talked about Missouri's schedule. Even in the SEC, that would be tough. And, Charlie, if one of their 2 losses is what we saw on Saturday, that's we talk about damaging losses. That's one. 10-2 Notre Dame with this schedule is not a given.
No, we were talking in the summer about 10-2 Notre Dame teams. I think you got a bet with somebody.
I got a bet with Paul Stone. Before the season started, I said they're getting in with 10-2. Now, they can't have a more damaging loss than to a MAC team.
Right. That was the one scenario that would get a 10-2 team out, was to lose to a team like that. You look at the teams around Indiana.
But they said that's not necessarily that they're out.
No,
they got a shot.
No, they'd have to lose another one. The wins that are fading, for instance, Utah is still ahead of them in the rankings, and so is Texas A&M. Their big wins are over Oklahoma State and Missouri. Well, those teams were ranked when they played them. I don't know how well those wins are going to look a month from now when the rankings come out.
Well, let's be realistic. With the 6 remaining games, Wes, okay, let's concede a loss in Columbus, okay? Fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I guess since we hadn't beaten them since 1987. But look, if Vanderbilt can beat Alabama, why not?
Well,
there you go.
Well, in Columbus, I'm going to concede it, okay? Washington's capable. Okay, we saw that. They went to Rutgers and outgained them by over 200 yards. They found a way to lose. Nebraska, Indiana, toss-up game in Bloomington. Would be tough for Nebraska, but I would say, I don't know if you've seen a look-ahead line, I would say maybe Nebraska 2 in that one, maybe pick. Have you seen one?
I have seen Indiana actually projected as a favorite in that game, which
less than a field goal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right around 2.5 or 3.
Okay, less than a field goal either way. That's fine. 50-50 game. So that's 2. Michigan, I'll give you the win at home against Purdue to end the season. At Michigan State could be a little bit tricky, and in Michigan at home, you got to win. You got to win 3 of those 4. Against outside of Ohio State and outside of Purdue. So doable.
Yeah, I think so. I felt when I played the. Excuse me, the over 5.5 wins, I felt 8 wins was doable. I thought maybe that's this team's ceiling, is to win 8 games, and that puts me in a pretty nice bowl game. Now I'm thinking they could at least win 9, and I might be disappointed if they don't win 9 here, because Purdue's a mess. Michigan State is not getting the quarterback play. They're first year coach, different type of transition up there with Jonathan Smith. So. Yeah, look, Washington is capable, but I think that's a coin-flippy game. They're still trying to kind of figure it out a little bit on offense with that new system and a new coach. They're not exactly scoring a ton of points, but their defense has been good enough. I thought their defense really won them the game against Michigan.
Washington is much better than I anticipated the way they got right. We see how big of a difference it's making in Michigan. Michigan's going to lose 4 or 5 games this year.
Yeah.
And they can't throw the football. They can't throw the football. The fact that Jack Tuttle, by the way, was a guy that couldn't keep the starting job at Indiana, that transferred. And the fact that he's their best passing quarterback is not, I think, a really great sign for the Wolverines.
Well, I'll take you, Jack. Sometimes quarterbacks can improve. I look at Graham Mertz because I saw him enough in Wisconsin, and this guy's done it a couple of years in a row.
And we're going to talk about, guys like that. Will Rogers, he's thrown for 15,000 yards in his career. Let me ask you,
system per
sure,
a lot
that's
of
still a lot of
each,
college football, man. Of the 4 undefeated teams that are sort of in this thing with Indiana, Iowa State, BYU, and Pitt. Okay, who do you like the best? Wes,
Indiana, BYU, Pitt, and Iowa State. I think Iowa State and Indiana are close. I like them a cut above, BYU. I think BYU and Pitt a little bit smoke and mirrors.
And
a little bit, and Holstein, we think he's really good. He's had to be, and he has been. But I think the Indiana Iowa State a little bit I put them just a notch above.
And see, I like BYU's wins. I think the Kansas State win looks really good, and I think the SMU win is going to look better. Now they caught them before they changed quarterbacks, but it's still going to be on that resume.
No, I'm not talking about the resume. I'm talking about just the teams and how good they are.
Test.
Yeah.
Wes, who do you like out of that group?
Yeah, look, I would say Indiana and Iowa State as well. I do think Pitt. I wonder because it's hard to trust anybody really in the ACC. Look at Miami, who I think is the best team in the conference, and they're life and death every week. They're so undisciplined. They should have lost at Cal. They should have absolutely lost outright and got a couple good calls their way, and then Cal kind of melted down. But I don't trust anybody in the ACC. And so that would lead me down to Indiana, Iowa State, and BYU. I think BYU, tough physical defense. I think the schedule's going to get a little bit tougher for them as well. So I would say Indiana and Iowa State. Now, Iowa State, you're going to need to see Rocco Beck play a little bit better because they haven't, with the exception of Baylor, they haven't really gotten the offense going. And they had to win with a lot of defense. So can that offense improve? Indiana's offense is what I think has really carried them. With Curtis Rourke has been even better than advertised.
Oh no, yes, I agree. I think there's a couple of guys, Diego Pavia at New Mexico State, Curtis Rourke at Ohio, and how they moved up to to the Big Ten and the SEC. And look, it's like, I don't know, going from AA to Major League, they look really good. Or going from college to pro, like Jaden Daniels. It has been impressive with those two guys. And I saw that early, man, against UCLA. They were really – Rourke is really executed. Look, even Northwestern. Northwestern's not good, okay? But their defense ain't bad. Where they're really bad is on offense. They're putrid on offense, but man, you put a 41 at that place, and now you even got the Big Red taking over the town, taking over the little soccer stadium. There you go, baby. So always
that was
always
stadium. Gosh, right off the lake. That was as good of an atmosphere, at least scenic-wise, as you would get in college football.
One of the we pay attention to facilities around here, and that damn football or athletic facility on the lake that they built right next to it is one of the best. When Northwestern went to Seattle, I called it the most scenic matchup in all of college football: sailgating versus on the lake in Lake Michigan with the downtown skyline of downtown Chicago in the background, about 45-minute drive away. How do you see this Ole Miss LSU game this Saturday night? It's going to, when the boxes are checked, night game, big-time opponent, and great weather, man, the place will be popping.
Yeah, look, I kind of like the home dog. I kind of like the Tigers here because Ole Miss, I wonder if that Kentucky game didn't show a lot of chinks in their armor. I know they got by South Carolina, and South Carolina, has trouble, I think, really throwing the football down the field. But Ole Miss, look, they're explosive against Georgia Southern and these teams when they can put up 50 and 60 points. But I don't know. There's something about that team. I wonder if their confidence didn't get a little shaken, and LSU got a little bit out of sight of mind because they lost week 1. So it's like, okay, then all of a sudden they get forgotten about. But I think LSU getting 3.5 at home. I was surprised that it came 3.5. So I'll probably end up being on the Tigers for this one.
Who you got this? Give us your top 3 picks in college football this weekend, Wes.
Yeah, a couple that I played. I did play Hawaii, getting those 3 touchdowns against Boise State. I don't often play those games, that late night bailout game with Hawaii, but I think with all the hype on Ashton Genty in terms of his Heisman candidacy, it's like the guy, he breaks off like 75-yard runs like they're nothing. So, going to Hawaii, I think Hawaii is starting to, figure it out a little bit and get better. Lost a tough one at San Diego State, but that's a lot of points, so I went ahead and took them there. Southern Miss against UL Monroe. This is one of those sell spots, and I ended up being on Monroe last week against James Madison, who, had scored 70 on North Carolina and were undefeated even without a lot of their team transferring and Pignetti and the staff going away. I kind of like Southern Miss here. It's a sell spot on UL Monroe. Maybe you buy the 7 because I'm seeing mostly 6.5 out there right now, but that's just one of those kind of like tricky spots where now all of a sudden maybe UL Monroe feeling themselves a little bit. Southern Miss, we know, is a little bit of a rebuild. So I think Southern Miss in that one. And then one more here for college football. West Virginia. We were talking about Iowa State, how we kind of liked them. This is a tricky spot, I think, going to West Virginia and laying 3. Kansas certainly figured that out. So I like West Virginia getting the points here. And then we will be looking through the rest of the college card. Not as many line moves early in the week, except for like totals. Now you're starting to see these lines get a little bit tighter.
You mentioned Boise State. That'll be the 10 o'clock kickoff out on the island at Hawaii. They pulled Genty at half of the Utah State game. He was about 8 yards from going to his rushing total. All right, he is not going to have the typical Heisman stage platform. He's not a quarterback, but he is the favorite right now. We have a friend who has a cash-out option at 26-1 on a Genty Heisman. Would you take it? The original ticket pays 100-1. Would you take 26-1?
Yeah, I probably would. I'm wanting to see, which of these quarterbacks emerge here, because we tend to think that it's going to be somebody in the playoffs. So I'm not necessarily buying Shedeur Sanders here to win this, because Colorado isn't going to be in the mix for that playoff. But you still have Carson Beck up there. I know they lost the game. You still have Milroe up there. You still have Will Howard. Even though the numbers aren't like exactly stupendous for him, they're still winning, and they still could be undefeated. So you have so many guys, Howard, Gabriel, all those guys. So I probably would that cash-out option. It is really hard, I think, for a running back. But if anybody can do it, it's probably Genty. But 26-1 cash-out option, that's not bad.
I told him cash it out yesterday. So anyway, and I like yours at 20-1. I think they,
right.
he'll get a little boost after this weekend. And so I was really surprised that Cam Ward lost ground to Genty, because he had a much better game. I mean, he needed every bit of him in that second half to come back and win by 1 when they were down 25.
I thought he would be the favorite, too. And if I had to take a non-quarterback for the Heisman right now, I would take Travis Hunter.
And, Wes, real quick, we've got 60 seconds, but your best pro pick this week.
Yeah, a couple that I did play. I kind of like Jacksonville. Going to London, they finally got a win over Indianapolis. Now, they didn't make it easy. Hopefully you laid the money line or the 2.5 and didn't push on that 3 when they should have won by 2 scores. But, Jacksonville's used to making this trip. They got the monkey off their back, finally winning a game. So they're a little bit used to this, and Chicago is not. So I like the Jaguars, and an ugly dog. It's moved up to 6. It was 3 on the look-ahead. Carolina Panthers, if you can stomach it, against Atlanta, who I think has been winning a lot of close games. And when you win so many close games, eventually that luck goes against you. So Carolina, hold your nose, +6.
All right, Wes. Follow Wes at Twitter at Wes Reynolds 1. Thank you, Wes. We'll talk to you next week. Good luck.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, live here on the patio. It's an open-air edition, live at lunch, live from Modesto, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Enjoying lunch on the patio, man.
Perfect day today.
No, it's absolutely perfect.
Perfect.
It's absolutely perfect. We're talking about the college football playoff here.
I had to go watch the 2 TVs, one on the college football and just in the patio. Just, hot party of 1. Here you go. Throw a steak on the grill, baby, with a nice glass of wine, and enjoy the weather, man. Huh, Charlie?
Yes,
Charlie.
I'm enjoying everything.
October's a great month, Charlie.
It is.
Zorak calls me Mr. October. Move over, Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, that nickname's taken for sure. Although you did the baseball yesterday, right? Yeah.
Man, we popped them. We popped them yesterday. 2 games yesterday. We both had the Mets. I've been betting the Mets for about 2 months straight now, and I just can't. We're sitting down to a long-time scout. A guy that's got how many World Series rings? 4?
3, at least 3 with the Giants.
Yeah, so our buddy down on the coast, and so we were watching when he was asking me, like I said, I'm going to keep riding these Mets. And they're an underdog. going to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is the number 2 seed. Philadelphia's got a lot of playoff experience. But Charlie, they're getting hit. I mean, when Sterling Marte, when Marte is hitting 7th in your lineup, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
that's pretty damn good. Winker hit a bomb and just missed another bomb. I mean, hit one to the wall, and then he hit one in the upper deck off of Nola. Nola was not as
I felt for
as,
Nola, but he's grinding to get through the 5 innings yesterday.
It's not quite his best. 4 earned runs. I know with 2 after he left, but he left the bases loaded, nobody out.
Yeah.
In the 6th
inning. The Alonso bomb, I thought, unsettled him a little bit.
Yes, because that was not the only hard hit ball.
No, it wasn't.
So
it was a first pitch.
He was not his sharpest. He has not missed a start in 7 seasons.
I knew he was durable. I didn't realize quite that.
He has not missed a start in 7 seasons, they said in the broadcast yesterday.
Now that I think about it, in the 3 years he was at LSU, I never remember Aaron Nola even being mentioned on the injury report for anything.
But here's a couple of guys, and we talked about yesterday, Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea has developed that sweeper, and he's never – I don't think he's ever – I know he's never won a playoff game before, and he got a standing ovation when he came off. He was awesome. That's a damn good lineup, a proven lineup for Philadelphia in the postseason. When he got out, they started getting some runs.
Yeah.
But I got to take this Mets lineup at home. They're fired up, and another guy, Jose Quintana. Quintana was sort of bouncing around, kind of a journeyman, a late season pickup at either the White Sox or the Cubs picked him up 1 year. He was supposed to be kind of a trade deadline acquisition. And he's just been okay. He's been solid. He's been really good as of late. So, they got going up against Ranger Suarez in that one. Seth Lugo, Centenary Prague, career year for him. I'm going back with him against the Yankees. He's been awesome. I don't have a feel for this first game with Detroit in Cleveland. That's the first of the quadruple header at 2:00. I do know this. I found 19-1 on Tariq Skubal at DraftKings to be the ALCS MVP. How are they going to win it when they're only plus 380 to win it as a team? How are they going to win it if he's not the MVP? You got some build up, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Now I will say this about Detroit, and I asked you this yesterday. 17 innings without scoring a run, okay? And then you break through against the best closer in the game, and you win. Sometimes that'll really get you going. Detroit shouldn't go 17
innings. You don't have to get going. You got it's a 5-game series.
Sure.
You steal one, man. I mean, Cleveland all of a sudden is trouble.
Yeah, offensively, sometimes those things will open up the floodgates for you. They're not supposed to go 17 innings without
Kansas City's hitting now. They won the Baltimore series, scored a total of 3 runs. It won 1-0 and 2-1. But they're starting to hit the ball. They hit the ball much better in the first 2 games against the Yankees series.
And it's going to be their first home game, playoff game since 2015. So
it's fun watching George Brett and his wife grind it out in the stands.
I even got a kick out of Mahomes after the game. They beat the Saints. He said, "Hey, look, we got the off week. I'm going. I've never been in Royal Stadium, Kauffman Stadium still." For a playoff game. Can't wait to go on Thursday night. So it's going to be tonight. Going to be hopping. Hey, real quick, are the Dodgers as hated as the Yankees?
On the West Coast, they are about Giants and Padres fans.
It just seems like the whole world has turned into Padre fans. I was just wondering.
Oh, well, the Padres, you feel for a town that lost. They're not going to lose this one.
Yeah,
they're going to make sure of this, and they're supporting them. I don't know, our buddy Chris Massaro lives in PB in San Diego. He says, I don't know how sustainable this payroll and the way they're operating business-wise is sustainable. He's very familiar with how the Red Sox did, and then they had to kind of pull back a little bit, even the Red Sox. But they're supporting it right now, and it's nasty. It got real ugly in Game 2. In the Dodgers, where they were throwing things. They basically excommunicated some stands. They banned them from ever coming back to Chavez Ravine. So, how about the first home run by Mookie last night? It was almost the same play. It hit Profar's glove, but this time he didn't get it. I'm still trying to figure out how he got it, the one in Dodger Stadium. But Dylan Cease and Dodgers, the postseason is all about starting pitching. The Dodgers have none.
Yeah.
They have none.
And I find myself pulling for the Padres because I watched those good Padre teams get dismantled because of ownership back in the 90s and all that. And, their ownership is in flux right now because he passed away. So I don't know what the future is. So I find myself rooting for them.
That's my team, man. That's my little team. That's my team. This is in. We love San Diego, Del Mar, and the Padres. So we are looking forward to it as well. So I like the Padres, the Royals, and the Mets. I'm kind of stuck on this Cleveland and Detroit game in game one. Two teams. Detroit's been as hot as anybody. And I was concerned about Cleveland when they got to the postseason because I thought they overachieved this year. They won so many walk-offs, so many one-run games this year. And but Clase, he just won too many sliders in game two. Live at lunch, live on the patio, open air edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Modesto on Burbank on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Like we said, it's going to be a great day on Saturday. Weather-wise, game-wise, the whole thing-wise. Come on by Modesto.
I can't believe, man, it's what a great day. The rest of the week, man, the rest of the month, but certainly on game day, make it a meeting place, man. Parking is going to be a little bit tricky. Maybe you're not going to be able to park exactly where you want or when you want and stuff like that. Maybe caught up in traffic, but hey, you come over, you make this your meeting place, and got plenty of TVs. Four big screen TVs here in the patio. And a lot of great game day drinks and eats that are on special as well. In addition to our regular, margarita menu and also lunch and dinner menu. One thing I did fail to mention the MLB post. John, they've had some great games, great storylines. We got all the Dodgers. The first time ever, NLDS, all four series 1-1. First time ever.
Wow.
Okay, you've had the late comebacks, the heroic stuff, the Tigers, 2-out, 3-run homer in the ninth, off of, the best closer is going to be the Cy Young runner-up in the American League. I mean, we'll get that when we can cash those Chris Sale Cy Young tickets and Paul Skeens Rookie of the Year in March.
Just in time for Christmas. Well,
people drive me crazy.
They're doing this big awards thing. Yeah, they're kind of emulating what the NFL does.
You know what they're trying to do? They're doing them so late when baseball is off of everybody's radar at that point.
Yeah,
they're trying to distract you from their blackout policies.
Oh well.
I mean, this sport is hard to. They just are their own worst enemy.
It used to be the hot stove. Remember the hot stove league? In November you talk about all the free agency movement and stuff like that. Not as much as it used to be.
Why didn't that trickling it out during your postseason?
That's how they used to do it. Now, they're doing the big award show like the NFL does. That's what they chose to do. Thanks to our hosts here at Modesto. Tomorrow we are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza downtown Baton Rouge. Dwayne Colucci will be with us, as well as Matt Humans and Kenny White. We'll get some picks going as we get closer to the weekend. For Max and Jimmy Jordan back in the studio, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.